Okay, I've come to the conclusion you're going to have to deal with a little bit of noise out of my air conditioner and my fan, because I think otherwise you're going to have to deal with the buzzing, which I think is a bigger problem overall. So you're going to have to deal with that today. But what I want to do today is I want to do a daily summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, by the way. I'm Kurt, and today is Saturday, the 10th of July of 2021. Welcome to everybody who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube. Rumble being my preferred platform because they don't do things like censorship as far as I can tell at this point. And the subject of the piece that I want to do today is blame them all. And here's what I'm trying to get at. Well, let me read my notes and hopefully that'll give you an idea what it is that I'm trying to get at. This is all sort of based on a Tim Pool video that I saw. I'm pretty sure nobody will try to sell the idea that in any subset of the world population is any group that is blameless. It doesn't matter whether they're bricklayers or monks or priests or doctors or law enforcement. You may count it nuanced, but in my mind, it's just not reasonable to refuse to support a member of some group because some percentage of that group chooses to be corrupt or displays wanting moral fiber. You can be sure I don't believe the police in, say, New York City are by any means saints. They're not, obviously. Come on. That doesn't mean I assume they're all evil, or even generally confused. And the fact that they have to live in a society of potentially corrupted counterparts doesn't necessarily change that. Okay? I get running for the hills when it looks like you're being overrun, right? As for me, I've lived in the same neighborhood for more than 16 years. And just like folks like Tim Pool, where YouTube is concerned, I'm not just going to drop my, quote, weapons, end of quote, and flee the second things start looking bad. The simple question in my mind is, do we just blame all of the police because some of them act badly? And again, that's regardless whether it's a large percentage or not. I contend that's not what one ought to do. This is where I am. I'm in this place where I keep hearing people like Tim Pool, and I like Tim. I do. But he lets himself, I don't know that it's emotionally. I think there is emotion there, but I think it's based on fact, which is to Tim's credit. I don't think he works from a position strictly of emotion. I think that he really tries hard to back what he thinks, what he feels by what he sees and what he knows. And I think that he tries to use fact in order to say things. And I think that the result is that he's generally pretty solid in the things that he puts forward. But look, yes, the police in New York City, for example, are probably largely corrupt. I don't mean to be rude about that. And I want you to know that you've got a sort of an out. When I say they largely seem to be corrupt, that doesn't mean all of them are. It just means they're largely so. Okay? And my problem is this. If you say, I'm not going to count any of the police to not be corrupt, then what you're doing is you're casting aspersions on otherwise honorable people who refuse to leave because they're trying to do the right thing by the people who are around them. That's just the reality. Yes, I know. Yes, I get it. A large portion of New York City's police are probably corrupt. I get that. No, I don't like it. No, I don't think that's how it ought to be. But if the ones who aren't corrupt just pick up and leave, guess what? What happens there is you lose non-corrupt police in New York City. Now, being fair, if you are in New York City and you're law enforcement and you're asked to do things that you know are wrong and you answer, no, I'm not going to do that, and you're told you're going to do that or you're going to be fired or you're going to be disciplined or whatever, then you have a choice to make, and that choice is, are you going to hang on and hope that none of the bad stuff happens or that you can overcome all of the bad stuff that happens, or are you going to just walk away? My answer is, unless you believe that you are going to be put in some situation where you're not going to be able to act as a police officer anymore, you stay. I know it's hard. I know it is. But if you don't have people of character who are willing to stay in places where bad things are happening, bad things will not stop happening. I mentioned that I've lived in my neighborhood for over 16 years. Right now, I just got finished talking with two of my neighbors, both of them getting older like we all are. Found out that one is even a little bit older than I thought he was. But are we in perfect agreement on everything? No, we're not. But me and those two guys are what make this neighborhood, and one guy's mama who's 93 or something, getting older by the day, right? But the point is, we and the people like us in the neighborhood are the cornerstone of the neighborhood. And I don't say that to be big-headed. I say that because I'm trying to get you to understand that we are the people who can have lived in this neighborhood for more than 20 years or more than 16 years or whatever it happens to be. One of my neighbors has lived in the neighborhood for, I'm sure, most of his life. Another of my neighbors has lived in or visited, been a part of this neighborhood for most of his. The lady who was down the street, who God rest her soul, is gone. She's no longer there. Lived there, I'm assuming, for a very, very long time. The mama of the one who lives next door to me is a great lady. She's slowly losing her grip on reality. Fortunately, it's not as fast as it is for my very own mother. She's a great lady, and I really like her a lot, and I like it when I get a chance to talk to her and so forth. We are the cornerstones for this neighborhood, and as people get older and as people pass on, each of us is going to have our chance to be the sort of more cornerstone individuals in the situation. It's not easy because there are people in the neighborhood who, quite frankly, don't have that mentality. In fact, one of the guys was saying that a lot of these younger folks, they're growing up without daddies and they just don't even know how to deal with men in their lives. And he has to deal with a lot of them, and when he deals with them, he has to be a lot softer than what he'd like to be in some senses, because he'd like to really challenge them to manhood, and they're not ready for that because they don't know what manhood looks like. They don't know. The thing of it is this: whether you like it or not, you have a choice, and it is to stand up where you can or watch society crumble around you. And so when you say all of the police who have any sense have long since gotten out of law enforcement, my answer to you is no, there are police who are still in law enforcement, who are still doing what's right, who are still doing what's reasonable, what's fair, what's proper. And yeah, they're likely to get in trouble for it, and hopefully they won't end up in jail as a result. This is something they have to concern themselves with on a daily basis. But the first thing that I want to say to you is blame them all is not a good way to do things. It's just not. You need to realize some are going to be good, some are going to be bad, some are going to be useful idiots, some are going to be sycophants and so forth, but some are not. The one neighbor that I have has been doing sort of security law enforcement work for a very long time, and he doesn't play those games. He doesn't play those games. I'm not saying that he doesn't keep quiet at times when he feels like he has to in order to keep his position, but he uses what battles he can. He fights what battles he can to try and bring people into more reasonable, more proper places. And this is what you need to do. Stop blaming law enforcement because a lot of them are corrupt. Recognize that a lot of them are corrupt. Deal with the fact that a lot of them are corrupt, but don't blame all of law enforcement because some large portion, even some big percentage of law enforcement is corrupt. Recognize that the ones that are, recognize that the ones who are not, and deal with them on that basis. This is how things have to go, guys. This is how we have to be looking at our world. You cannot, and look, Tim is out in his own little compound somewhere. Do I get it? Heck yeah. Would I like to do that? Uh-huh. Can I do that? I don't feel I can in good conscience. I've got to be there to show people what somebody who's at least semi-good looks like. And I'm not sitting here telling you, oh, look at me, I'm wonderful. That's not what's happening. None of us are I would say none of us is perfect. That's what I'd say. There's God, there's Jesus Christ if you believe in him, and I do, and they're perfect. For the rest of us, we're not. We're just not. So my attitude about things is you have to realize that. You have to work with that. Okay, I need to wrap this up. I'm over time that I really wanted to be. I just got talking as often happens. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Saturday, the 10th of July, 2021. That means tomorrow will be the 11th of July of 2021, and it'll be a Sunday, obviously. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube. Rumble is my preferred platform. I really like the fact that it seems to be censorship-free by comparison to, say, for example, YouTube. And no, I'm not trying to hide it. I'm just saying that's something that people, I think, realize. Today's subject has been blame them all. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the subject of changing minds, and it also was born out of that same video. And I want to take some time to address things from a slightly different angle than the one that I did today. Hope you've enjoyed my video today. Hope you're doing well today. If you are a person who keeps the Sabbath, I hope you're having a good Sabbath today. Hope things are going well for you in general, and hopefully we will see you again on tomorrow's edition of the Daily Summation. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Saturday, July the 10th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.